Hey, everybody, welcome back to GBH Amplifies. On today's show, a festival of sights and sounds of some of the summer's coolest festivals. But you know what? We're going to do it with a little Latino flavor. Stay tuned. All right, across Massachusetts, Latino festivals, they're all over the place, and they've been around for many, many years, not only as expressions of identity, resilience, and joy, but they're also filled with music, food, but they're kind of like living archives of our culture, spaces of belonging, and sometimes even bold acts of public affirmation in a society that really, quite frankly, needs these kinds of events from all kinds. So today's show, we're going to show you at least two leaders who have been bringing together these kind of, I would call more than traditional, iconic celebrations in our community. And to kind of put it all in perspective, I've asked a very good friend of mine who's done the intellectual work behind this. But we're going to have a festival ourselves here of sight and sound because we've got videos from previous festivals. So if you've never been to a Latino festival, after today, you will have gotten a little flavor of the Puerto Rican festival, the Dominican festival, and some of the celebrations all the way from Franklin Park to Fenway Park. So without further ado, I am going to introduce our esteemed guest. To my right, I'm going to start with, to my right, my good friend, La Doctora Lorna Rivera, director of the Gaston Institute of UMass, who I want you eventually to kind of offer us a broader context. So you're going to be my intellect, all right?
Okay.
To your right is a good friend, Marilyn Rivera. She is currently the president of the Puerto Rican Festival of Massachusetts, which is the oldest and largest festivals. Marilyn, how old?
58.
Not you, the festival. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I wasn't born yet.
The festival is 58. You are much younger, right? Okay, yeah, she paused. Okay.
I was like, what?
Yeah. And Jerry Lopez. Jerry, I call you Jerry, but your complete name is?
Jeremy Nuri.
I'll call you Jerry. Okay.
Perfect.
Semana Hispana. How many years up in Lawrence?
47, 46 celebrated.
Yes, because you
This
missed
year.
1 year because of the COVID, right?
Yes.
But that's a long time.
Yes, it
putting
is.
these festivals
Yeah.
together. And I want to start with that, with Lorna, because when you hear this, 5 decades, over 5 decades, almost in her 6th decade, or almost in her 5th decade with Semana Hispana, what should our audience know about just that, the length of these festivals? What does that mean?
Well, what it means is that Boston has a long history of not just, of international migration in general, but specifically, right, we've had Puerto Ricans coming here since the end of the Spanish-American War, Cubans coming also at the end of the Spanish-American War, Dominicans have been coming here as well, and really large numbers of Dominicans coming in the 1980s. And then we also see that we have a really long history, too, of Central Americans coming here, particularly in the late 1980s with a lot of the civil wars that were happening in Central America. So we have like the third largest like Salvadoreños here. We have Guatemalans, we have Hondurans, Nicaraguans, and then also South Americans, right? We have one of the largest Colombian communities here as well. So those festivals represent really a long history of all these different groups, right, that have settled here and have tried to continue to preserve their culture in some way.
So is that one of the reasons, maybe some of our viewers or our audience members say, why so many different festivals? Because some can't tell the difference between one culture and another, but they're very different, right? When you go to one festival, the food, definitely the entertainment, the music, even the community that's there is very different from another one. Puerto Rican is different than the Dominican, than the one in Everett, which we're going to show, which is multicultural. So it's really a kind of an example of the diversity when you say Latino.
Absolutely. And I think, what these festivals do is really not just emphasize, sort of the culture and the traditions, the different music, the different foods, but they're opportunities for also our entrepreneurs in our communities, right, to be in these festivals, selling their products, our artists, right? Like art is very important for cultural expression. And so we also can see the different kinds of music. And only some of us would know, right? Like what's cumbia versus bachata and like all these different forms that we celebrate in our cultures, and it's an opportunity to share with others, for other people to learn, to celebrate with us, right? Because we're really proud. And we also see it as like generations, like for our children and our, our community and our neighbors to really see that, having these festivals is a way of continuing our culture, preserving it, continuing those traditions so that, forever we'll still be celebrating, right, our culture.
All right. So when I come back to you, I want you to kind of give me a little landscape of the profile of the Latino community here, because it's changed over the years, what it is now, and some of the myths around our community. So, but without further ado, I want to get into the Puerto Rican Festival. 58 years old this year. You've taken it from Franklin Park to City Hall, even part celebrating at Fenway Park, right?
Right.
So you've it's grown, but give me a little of the history for those who don't know about this oldest and largest Latino festival in Massachusetts.
So we started at Blackstone Park, and with a very small amount of people, and the festival grew. Where in terms we had to go into like City Hall, but City Hall's too small as well, so we went back to Franklin Park. And because of the large population that goes there, and it's in the community wanted us to go back to Franklin Park. They felt that we took away something that they can walk to. It was easier for them for parking. They can participate versus going up downtown.
All right, so you know what? You can talk all day about the festival, but you know what? Unless we see it, I want her to see it. You want to watch a little of the festival, right? I have a video. You want to see a little part of the festival? All right. I know you guys want to see a little part of the festival. So why don't we run a clip of last year's festival just so you guys can see, get a flavor. This is the Puerto Rican festival. We have one of the Dominican festival later, but this happened last year, the stage and the crowd, and watch the range of ages of people dancing. Let's take a look. But now I want to go to Jerry. Now, Jerry, Lawrence is my second home. I love going to Lawrence, Massachusetts. How many in the audience has ever been to Lawrence, Massachusetts? Next time you go, you got to shout out "Viva Lawrence," because that is the slogan that we're saying. Viva Lawrence, Hispanic Week. Tell me why it's Hispanic Week or Semana Hispana rather than just Puerto Rican or Dominican or Colombian.
Because the dream that Isabel Melendez had was to represent not only the Puerto Ricans, because she is Puerto Rican, the one that found her. She wanted every Dominican to go and cheer, every Cuban to go and do the same, every Guatemalan, every Ecuadorian. So that's why she came up with the name for Hispanic Week. It is representing every single Hispanic culture.
Yeah, part of, and again, let's kind of explain to the audience. So this one, we're going to get back to the Puerto Rican Festival. The Puerto Rican Festival is a 3-day celebration, and you have other stuff going on like Fenway, but it's 3 continuous days. Hispanic Week is a week of activities, and then it culminates at the park, right? So each day is dedicated to a different
it's a Latin night.
Latin night, right? For a different country?
Yes.
What are some of the countries?
We have Ecuador, Colombia, Venezuela, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Guatemalan, and Haiti.
Yeah. So this is a week-long celebration.
Yes.
That's why Semana, do you remember your Spanish class? No, never took it. Who can tell me what Semana is from our audience? No Latinos can participate in this one, though. What does Semana mean? Week, yes, week, Semana. So Hispanic Week is basically the translation of that. Now, when is it this year?
it is as every single year for the past 47 years, it is on Father's Day.
Exactly.
It
in
is
June.
that Saturday and Sunday,
Yeah.
June 14th.
Yep. So many of us who've grown up here in Massachusetts, we mark Father's Day weekend, Semana Hispana. Then the fourth week of July is what?
Puerto Rican Festival.
Every year, fourth
Every
week.
year for
Yes.
58 years.
3 days this year again?
2 days.
2
this
days, sorry,
year.
2 days. Saturday and Sunday at
Yes.
the park.
At the park, Franklin Park.
Yeah. But I want the audience to see what you guys do at Fenway Park.
Yes.
So the Red Sox have embraced many nights. We have Dominican night, we have Puerto Rican night, we have Hispanic Heritage. But on Puerto Rico night, they work with you, right? The
Yes.
Puerto Rican Festival. And you know what? Let me just show you what happens at Fenway Park. America's most beloved stadium, ballpark, turns into a little mini Puerto Rico. Let's take a look. And Lorna, a little bit of history. The Red Sox were one of the last teams, or the last team to integrate racially. They've gone from maybe the worst reputation with certain groups to with the Latino community, number one. They are the best in Major League Baseball because they've embraced the fandom that supports baseball. Tell me a little bit about how that change in demographics and what we really have here in Massachusetts. We have a real Caribbean population that supports baseball.
Correct. Actually, one of the major categories that people identify in Massachusetts is as Afro-Latinos, which is really the communities, from the Caribbean primarily, and about 4% of the Latinos in Massachusetts say that they're Afro-Latinos. So, and of course, baseball is huge, right, in the Caribbean. So that's been an important recognition, but also of the Dominican players, right? That we've had, Pedro Martinez, Big Papi, right? So there's been that outreach as well to that growing Dominican community here. But Puerto Ricans have been around, right? Dominicans have been growing and actually have surpassed now Puerto Ricans in terms of, in Boston at least, there's more Dominicans now than Puerto Ricans.
In the city.
In the city of
Not
Boston.
statewide.
Yeah, not statewide. Puerto Ricans still are the majority population statewide, and they're in places like Holyoke where there are big numbers. Lawrence has, so we have Lawrence is like Dominican, right? And we have sort of, our community is also high numbers in certain areas, right? So you'll find Colombians in Maverick Square, in East Boston. You'll find Guatemalans in Waltham. Dominicans really established themselves a lot in the Jamaica Plain neighborhood, right? And so it's really an incredible history, and that just continues to grow, because even though Puerto Ricans have been here a long time, after Hurricane Maria, and what the conditions still are in Puerto Rico, we still have a lot of migration, right? Still Puerto Ricans still coming here. And people reuniting with their families in general. All of our communities come here to settle where there's been historically, right? Our communities have been in those neighborhoods.
Yep. Now, I want to get into this a little bit. This is a fun part because the festivals are fun. And we love to kind of debunk myths on this show. Okay, at GBH Amplifies. So there are some myths about the Latino community that I want addressed right now. One myth, all Latinos are immigrants.
No, no. In fact, more Latinos in Massachusetts are born here, but we do have a lot of foreign-born Latinos as well. And since we have different generations, we already have third, fourth generation Puerto Ricans, some don't speak Spanish even,
Correct.
right? So there's these differences as well in terms of how we look, in terms of our race, our generational status, where the home country is from, and even our ability, right, to be bilingual or not, kind of matters over the long years.
When someone says, but you don't look Latino, why is that because we have Afro-Latino, very dark-skinned Latino, we have very white-skinned Latino, blonde, blue hair, and then everything in the middle, right?
Mix.
A
Yeah.
mix.
Yes. Yes.
Tainos.
Yeah.
Exactly. So let's talk a little bit about that, because that's something I think some of us in the audience and here kind of struggle with, right? Because they'll say, you don't look Latino. And I always say, well, what's a Latino supposed to look like? Depends on what country. If you're from Argentina, what do Argentinians mostly look like?
Yeah.
European.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Now, if you go to Dominican Republic, you're going to see a lot of people that look like Pedro Martinez
Yes.
and David Ortiz. If you go to Puerto
But we
Rico,
also have
mucho
a lot-
Taínos,
a
right?
lot-
Look, you.
But we also have a lot looking like Amelia Vega.
Amelia Vega, which looks very
The
European,
Miss
too.
Universe, yeah.
Amelia Vega, by
So-
the way, is whose wife? Al Horford's wife.
Of
the
course.
Boston Celtics. She was, in case you didn't know,
The
first
And
Dominican
only.
Miss Universe.
And only.
And only. So look her up. Amelia Vega, Vega, right? So we have different looks, right? And that's one of them. Okay.
And indigenous too, right?
And indigenous.
Right?
Guatemala. Yeah.
Guatemalans, right? There's like
In
a bunch
Central
of
America.
Mayan, dialects. Like, so a lot of also our Central American communities identify as indigenous.
Right.
And they don't speak Spanish.
Right. Another myth. Latinos love music. We can. Oh no, that one's actually true. That one's actually true, right? That one's actually true.
Right.
As a matter of fact, why don't we
dance
take
to
a look at one of the
everything.
videos? This is proof. I hope Juan Jose found the Puerto Rico one. Okay, so this is what happens. Fenway is an awesome place, but this is a little different than Sweet Caroline. Okay, so on Puerto Rico night, this is what happens at Fenway Park.
Hey, what's up?
All right, and now, okay, so that was part of the ceremony. Before that, you've got the band playing outside. You've got DJ Mike Mercado upstairs. Let's show what happens on Dominican night at Fenway. This one's got, in this clip, some more music, but it also happens during Puerto Rican night as well. So let's go to the
Yeah.
Dominican. This will give you a little idea of what happens on Dominican night at Fenway.
Esto es excelente, espectacular, con todo nuestro calor, con todo nuestro sabor y esa energía que solamente nosotros podemos poner a los eventos.
Gracias a toda la comunidad por hacer esto posible, pero sobre todo gracias a ustedes.
Y qué honor de estar lanzando lo que es la primera pelota, Alberto, y definitivamente uno se siente contento, feliz de representar a todos esos latinos, en especial los dominicanos, en un día tan emblemático aquí en el legendario Fenway Park.
Mira, me siento como un niño con juguete nuevo. En los años que tengo, casi 30 años viviendo en Massachusetts, en Lawrence, nunca había venido, ni siquiera entrar aquí, ni siquiera, bueno, es increíble, me siento como un niño con juguete nuevo.
And Jerry, that is your mayor of Lawrence on the field at Fenway, right?
Yes, it is.
So let's, since we're already here in Lawrence, right? Let's look at some of the photos. Somebody was asking me, what is the obsession with all the queens in the festival? That is such a big part of it, isn't it?
It is. It is.
They are part of it, of course. That's the beauty of the
It's a
whole
beautiful
festival,
tradition,
right?
different ages. So let's look at some of the Semana Hispana. This is in the middle of the street, right? And you'll see a lot of these queens, right? Different ages. Semana Hispana in Lawrence. And the families really get into it. The community
Yes.
gets into it. And you see the different generations. And it's funny because we have pictures, the El Mundo archives, of some of the queens from 1972.
Wow.
They don't look like that anymore. So this was from a couple years ago, right, Jerry?
yes.
Where does the parade take place?
It used to go from Central Catholic all the way down to Broadway, then turning left on Haber Street down to the Common Park.
And so it's a variety of stuff too, obviously. It's a beautiful
The
parade.
girls dancing.
Yeah.
I mean, they were performing in front of the judges because we did have trophies, first, second, and third place in like 5 different categories.
Excellent, excellent. So now, for those who don't know, give me the demographic profile of her city, Lawrence.
Lawrence probably is around 89%.
Yes, it is.
Dominican.
Wait, could you say that again? 89% of the entire population of Lawrence is Latino. And of that 89, the majority is Dominican.
Yes.
So 80. So everybody thinks Miami is the most Latino city. Lawrence, Massachusetts. Go up there. Go up there.
And one important information, like the whole city council, like there's 9 of them, only one of them is not
Mark
Dominican.
LaPlante. Mark LaPlante, our good friend Mark
Only one
LaPlante,
is not Dominican.
The only non-Latino city councilor in Lawrence. That's right. You're
Yep.
absolutely right. The mayor's Dominican.
Yes.
School committee, city council,
Yes.
superintendent, Ralph Carrero.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So it is a Latino city in all
It is.
phases. So very interesting. All right. I think we have the Dominican Festival video. I want to give our the Dominican Festival a shout out. We couldn't have them on the show today, but we do have a little clip from last year's Dominican Festival, which also takes place at Franklin Park. Let's take a look at the Dominican Festival last year.
La madrina, mira mi gente. ¿Cómo está Alberto? ¿Cómo está mi amor? ¿Todo bien? Ay, la gente linda.
All right, Lorna, when you see that, what comes into your intellectual mind?
Well, I just wanted to point out that it shows Center Street, right, and Jamaica Plain, and this is now called the Boston Latin Quarter, and it's one of Massachusetts' only cultural districts, just for Latinos. Holyoke now, and then maybe East Boston one of these days, but. It's important to recognize that history of Center Street as Avenue de las Americas. And then even the clip that he showed there where you saw a mural at Mozart Park. Today, that mural, really highlights the contributions of our Afro-Latinos that also, like people like Jose Mazo, Celia Cruz are like featured, right, in this mural to really, show the contributions of our artists and as leaders, right? Our artists in our Latino community really have become leaders too. And so that really struck me that Jamaica Plain, while the demographics have shifted over the years, it's very expensive to live there now, and many of our community have moved out. We still have it as the Boston Latin Quarter. Like people still come back to go to the barber, to get, the beauty salons. And, we used to have, a lot of our restaurants there, but there still are very small, there's still small businesses there that are really important to our community. And even if people have moved out, they still come back, right, to go, even, to those businesses.
One of the interesting things about the city of Lawrence that I've noticed and we've covered is this generational wealth that's now occurring in the Latino community. So now you have developers like Johan and his wife Walkis, who developed those buildings, cafeteria. So they're in real estate. So it's not just small businesses in Lawrence. Some of the larger businesses now were founded and run by Latinos. So there is that, and they're going to Harvard. They're going to different Ivy League colleges. So there's this generational kind of leap forward, right?
Yep, it is. It is very, very important, especially for our youth and the community, kind of, guiding them and telling them, like we said here, the sky is the limit. And if you dream it, you can do it. Yeah. So that's really, really important.
Now, you guys also, the Puerto Rican Festival is not just a festival, but I love the initiative that you have taken on with the city of Boston. I know Goya Cares, a big donation from Goya Foods. That is given out, distributed. How many tons of food?
30,000.
30,000 pounds, which is about 15 tons of food, are distributed in the city of Boston.
The whole city and a few women shelters.
Yes. And who does helping out? The Latino Law Enforcement Group of Boston.
Latino law enforcement, pretty much all law enforcement. We have the Suffolk Firefighter Department. So every agency are come out. We do have about 200 volunteers.
Wow. Yeah. So think about that. The festival hands out with the city of Boston, and it's a nice size, nice donation from the Goya Cares Foundation that does that. So when you hear that, right? Anybody who's lived in Boston, like me, since I was born here, it's such a big shift. And Patricia and I were talking about maybe in the 70s and 80s, you if you spoke Spanish, was a little quiet, didn't really want to make a big deal. Now people are more proud. They're just a lot less, not embarrassed, but they're just more open about who they are. Is that true?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's a graph or something we could show about the number of Latino children in Massachusetts, because this is our future, right? Like we are, our kids are, the majority of the different groups, and the majority, right, are like Puerto Rican kids in our public schools. But throughout the state, right, like in places like Lawrence, right, it'll be mostly Dominicans. And so this is our future in our state, that by 2040, there's going to be 1.7 million Latinos in Massachusetts. And so those numbers are going to keep growing, which means then, right, there will be generational wealth. There's going to be better outcomes for our second and third generations. And I know one of the studies we did at the Gaston Institute on second generation Latinos is showing that they're becoming, that this wealth transfer, right? They're getting better educated, better jobs. Yep. So the future is looking much brighter for our community.
I think so. When we've done this show, and this is, I don't know, our sixth show, maybe seventh show of GBH Amplifies here at the Newsfeed Cafe, we've kind of gone over a theme, right? Some of these themes, the diversity of the Latino community. How many different countries are represented when you say Latino? And some are very similar, the ones in the Caribbean, some are very different. Let's talk a little bit about that, our similarities, but our differences too. So now that I have the Puerto Rican and the Dominican, name a couple things that you guys have similar.
The food.
The food, yes.
A lot of it.
Yes.
Food.
The dancing, I mean,
Yes.
we go for it. We dance to everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, but salsa is
Puerto Rican,
Puerto Rican.
bachata.
Dominican.
Exactly.
It started with Puerto Rican.
But
so-
yeah. And besides that, nowadays you can see Cubans dancing good bachata, Guatemalans, any ethnicity. I mean, everybody likes it. And that's what I'm saying. We as Hispanic, we dance to everything.
Yeah, but
Yes.
if you go to the southwest of this country, it's Tejano. The big bandas, right? The Selena family, right? Which is a lot different. So I don't think that many non-Latinos can tell the difference. We can, between the bachata and the salsa. Same thing. Okay, so we've done dance. Now, what are some differences?
The differences.
Accent, yes.
Yes.
I can tell
Yes.
a Dominican versus a Puerto Rican
Yeah.
a mile away.
In
And
a
I can hear them a mile away because they're loud.
In a second.
Yeah. The accent is very
accent
different,
is
right?
very different.
It is.
Absolutely.
And
So-
there's some words that are different. It has a
Dialect?
different meaning. The dialect
Yeah.
is different than ours.
Exactly. Some of the history is close, but then
Right.
and then obviously it's two completely different commonwealths, right? Two completely different
Right.
people, right? So we have a lot of similarities, but a lot of differences. All right.
Well, can I point one
Yes.
big one?
Yes.
I mean, a lot of people don't know that Puerto Rico is a territory of the United States, right?
Right,
And so Puerto Ricans are U.S. citizens.
Correct.
Yes.
Right. And so I think that's a difference there because,
So they're not immigrants,
right.
but we're here in America, and then we've suddenly become Latino, which is something very interesting, right?
Yeah.
Because I do get that a lot from a Guatemalan. They say, back home, I'm a Guatemalan. I come to the United States, I'm not really I'm a Latino. So let's talk a little about that, because we all have a way of self-identifying that could vary, right? Like,
Yeah.
what do you self-identify as?
Yeah. I mean, I always say I'm Puerto Rican first. And I think that's what most people do, is say their country of origin or where their ancestry is. But it's also depends where you live in the United States. Like Hispanic is used more in the Southwest and in the West, even in the Midwest. Around here, we even use Latin, right? Or Latinx and Latine. Like there's all these terms. But they're just these categories that kind of erase the differences. And so, we kind of need them to kind of understand in general. But most people really just pick what their actual origin is. Like they'll just say.
Yeah, but let me ask you a question.
you know?
You said you identify as Puerto Rican? Puerto Rican? Where
Yeah.
were you born?
Well, I was born in Chicago.
All right, see that.
But we say, right, that Puerto Rico, I wasn't born in Puerto Rico, but Puerto Rico was born in me.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yes.
Okay. All right. What do you self-identify as?
Puerto Rican, if that's an option. If there's no option, I will say Latino.
Latino, right?
Yep.
Okay. How about yourself?
Dominican.
Dominican, and then you say Latina, Hispanic? Hispanic, yeah. Yeah, and that is a common question that we all get. Hey, so, they'll, if you've ever noticed, they go, hey, come here, I don't want to offend anybody. How should I refer to you guys? Right? And you're like, yeah, or you, right? And again, just for everybody's knowledge, everybody's different. And most of us will not get offended. I've been called Puerto Rican, Mexican, right? and my father's Cuban and my mother's from Ecuador, which is another phenomenon, mixed. Right? So for Mr. Singer, mixed for you is probably more along racial lines. For us, mixed, it's more around nationalities. So I'm mixed, Cuban, Ecuadorian. My cousin who married a Puerto Rican, my godson is Puerto Rican, Cuban. So it's that mix as well, right?
Oh yeah, and that's why the biggest category is other. Many of us mark other because of those mixtures, right? And so, that's interesting.
Not to complicate things, but there's little differences. But I don't know. Would you say I haven't seen anybody get offended over the last 10 years. There were people who were very, kind of special about that. But I think nowadays most of us will let someone slide if they don't know exactly. And then we do our job of trying to educate them. We're okay with helping educate folks, right?
Absolutely. Right.
Yeah. So we want you guys to ask about us. Don't be embarrassed. Ask us about, what do we identify or for example, I'm also Bostonian, right? I am American, USA, Bostonian, Cuban, Ecuadorian. So my daughter, she's confused. And her mother's Dominican.
Even more.
Yeah, even more. So, but it's actually a nice thing, right?
Yeah, but also remember the old days, they used to say New Yorkers as well. And I don't know how that came out.
So
but that's
who are
in
New
Puerto
Yorkers?
Rico.
You're the scholar here. Who are New Yorkers?
Well,
I think in Puerto Rico, they used to identify people, even from Boston, they say you're New Yorican, regardless.
So
well,
what is
we
a
say
New
we're
Yorker?
Shy-Ricans in Chicago. So it's sort of people, take that and put a spin to it, right?
Yeah.
But New York obviously was the place that most Puerto Ricans settled. But then they went to other, areas. There was a program called Operation Bootstrap, right? That, really gave people one-way tickets to come to the United States to work in agriculture and in factories too. To kind of, deal with the economic situation in Puerto Rico. And so we're all over the United States, all over the United States.
We're all over the United States. We're all over the Commonwealth. I want to, as a matter of fact, show a couple more festivals from around the Commonwealth. So I think we have a couple more photos just to give a little idea that it's not just in Boston. It's not just Boston-centric. We have a great big festival in Worcester. We have different festivals. There's one coming up in Malden. This one is the Festival Betances, which is coming up now in July. We have beautiful photos of that. We have the great mural. That's El Canario last year performing in Festival Betances, which is the South End. Lots of community folks that gather there. We also have a big festival coming up at Fenway Park. That's the Latino Family Festival on June 8th. That's another family affair which gathers all Latino communities at America's most beloved ballpark. I know we have some pictures of that. And there it is. I love that photo. Me and Annie love that photo. And that's another free event. All these events are free, by the way, for the community to know, right? And again, lots of different ages. What I love about festivals is you will always see people of different ages and generations going together, whether it's Semana Hispana, the Puerto Rican Festival, or Latino Family Festival, the Princesses. And there's also one in Everett. I know we have a multicultural festival in Everett. There is Ceci del Carmen, a well-known member of our community. I guess she was the Grand Marshal or one of the main attractions that year. And that one goes right through the heart of Everett, Massachusetts. Again, there's one in Malden. There's one in Cambridge.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of them that go on around. So I hope now you have an idea why so many. There's so many, right? Because we're very... we're everywhere, but
We're everywhere. We
we're
want to celebrate all the time.
Exactly. All right, for those of you watching, let's give you guys a little kind of recap. When is the Puerto Rican Festival this year?
July 26th and 27th.
Okay, free event.
free event.
Okay, at Franklin Park.
Franklin Park.
Park or Pack?
Park.
Pack. Okay, that's right. We are Bostonian. She's Puerto Rican, but she's Bostonian. Okay. Okay, Jerry. When is Hispanic Week?
June 14 and 15
Yep. So that's that Father's Day weekend.
Father's Day weekend.
And where does that take place?
at the Common Park, Campanon Park.
Common Park. So with all
Is
the
that
little squirrels are.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, there.
Yes. Right
200
next to-
Common Street.
Yeah, right by Common Street. Okay. Now,
Can I shout out the Cinco de Mayo festival?
Yes.
That's going to be on City Hall on Cinco de Mayo. So,
yeah, and we have Jose Mazo's event with Embrace.
Yes, that's coming up in September, which will be amazing, with the Embrace, a partnership to celebrate the 50-year anniversary of Con Salsa
His program.
on
Yep.
WBUR. Amazing, Jose Mazo. So I highly recommend it. It will be on Boston Common. Last year was amazing.
It really was. It
And
really.
wait, we have one more. We
Yes.
have August 23rd, Fiesta en la Playa, Sabor Boricua at Carson Beach.
Yes, Carson Beach. See, so there are a plethora of festivals free that you can go. And now, after watching this show, you can feel a little bit more like, oh, I know what's going on here. That's a bachata, or that's salsa. Try it. You'll try it. If you get it wrong, we give you a free pass. So don't worry. Don't worry. So listen, we're wrapping up this show. I want to thank you guys again. But before we go, I want you to tell me something that you're most proud of, the Puerto Rican Festival in 58 years of that history.
I say when I was walking to the park last year, and I hope this happens this year, people came with their families. They had tents. They were playing dominoes. They all just gathered there with every family member from newborns to 80 years old, but dancing, and they sang and danced, even line dancing, merengue.
Exactly. Tell me about Semana Hispana. What are you most proud of?
The connection with the community
Yeah.
is
Yes.
priceless.
For many, many years.
Yes.
Yeah. The feeling.
Yep, and the support from even when we did the parade, as you walk around and you see all the people out with the chairs, like she's saying, like just waiting for you to pass by and to say hi and to be like, oh, Viva Semana Hispana and this, thank you for this, doing this for us, and because the community knows that these festivals are for them.
But it's not easy.
It's
I
of
know
course
behind
not.
the scenes, I've talked to you. It is a
Of
labor
course
of
not.
love.
Yes.
It is.
Yes, and it's all volunteer
I
work.
was going to say that. It's all volunteer. People
All
sometimes
volunteer.
think,
All
Nobody
volunteer.
gets
oh, you're getting
paid,
the big
except
paycheck.
the
No.
artists.
No.
You
The
live in your
artists do get paid. The artists are the ones
the
who
artists,
get
and the
They
police
don't play
and all
until
that.
they get paid.
Yes.
You're living behind your family, the time that you,
Yes.
spending with you're kind of cutting time from your family to just give it away.
I want to thank you guys, but as we leave, I want to show all you guys out there my Red Sox family. The Boston Red Sox have a very diverse group of young people, awesome people who work very hard in different departments. And at last year's Hispanic Appreciation Night, they all came on the field, and they all represented different countries, their own or others, and we got that on film. So I'm going to end with that. So we're going to show that, but I want to thank you guys, and I'll see you around, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
I would get up and high five you, but a little later.
Thank you
All
for
right.
having
I'll
us.
see you guys
Thank
very
you.
soon. All right. Have a good one, and here is the video of the Red Sox. See you next time.
Hola, me llamo Gabriel, trabajo como embajador aquí en Fenway y mis padres son colombianos. ¡Viva Colombia!
Hola, ¿cómo están? Mi nombre es Karen, yo nací en México y trabajo en los Medias Rojas de Boston. ¡Woo!
Bueno, hola a todos, me llamo Michael Letondra. Yo hago los tours aquí en Fenway Park de Uruguay. ¡Vamos arriba!
Mi nombre es Christopher Valdés. Estamos aquí en Fenway Park para el Día de los Latinos, representando Puerto Rico y la República Dominicana. Saludos.
Hola, hola, mi nombre es Andrés Hernández, soy de Colombia, de Barranquilla, Colombia, orgullosamente barranquillero. Mis padres son de allá, yo nací allá y manejo las redes sociales en español del equipo de las Medias Rojas de Boston.
Yo soy dominicano, soy Ángel, pero para mi gente de Bolivia, ya tú sabes.
Hola, mi nombre es Rina Rodríguez, estoy aquí representando a la República Dominicana. Trabajo con los Red Sox en el departamento de promociones y aquí estoy con mi bandera celebrando la noche hispana.
Hola, ¿cómo están todos? Aquí desde Fenway Park, Luis Vázquez, the official ball boy of the Boston Red Sox. Always come say hello. I love you guys. Hoy estamos representando los latinos, Hispanic Heritage Night. Aquí tengo Guatemala, y aquí apoyando a Venezuela, el país de mi esposa. Mandando mucha fuerza desde Fenway Park. Go Red Sox.